what's going on, everybody? This is Stephen Morris. Now, I know most of you know me from the Gatlic Group, but honestly, I am super excited today. Today is our first episode for an Honest Look podcast. I am the host of the podcast, and today is our very first episode, so mark this on your calendars. February 21st, 2024. Podcast number one. We're super excited. The reason why we created this podcast was very simple. I wanted to take an honest look at issues that we deal with as consumers, an issue that we deal with as the society. And I wanted to talk about facts. I wanted to talk about feelings, and I also wanted to debunk the myths of many things that we kind of see on a day-to-day basis. So I'm super excited that you guys have come to join us, and hopefully you guys will subscribe, click that button, be ready for all of our episodes as we talk on a bi-weekly basis about different things, and we have an honest look at what's happening in our world. I'm super excited today. Before we get into our guest who's sitting right here to my right, I definitely want to give a shout out to Palmetto Moose Production, our producer, Scott. I call him Scott Party Pants. Palmetto Moose, we're super excited about those guys. They've helped us get this facility off the ground. We're actually shooting from Gatlic Group Studios. We actually have been working on this for the last year and a half, and so our first episode is today. So I'm super pumped, super excited about that. But we're going to get into it. I have my guest here to my right. Super duper lady. We met at a networking function, and ironically, I knew the first episode I wanted to talk about this topic about self-service checkout and about kiosks. That's what the topic of our episode is for today. And I went to a networking event, and her friend actually said, "Hey, you need to talk to Steve Morris because you are a prolific expert in this area." So we're going to talk about self-service checkout today. How do you feel about it? How does the public feel about it? We did a roving man on the street roving reporter interview with a lot of consumers earlier this week at one of the local grocery stores, and the public is kind of on the fence when it comes to this. But before we get into the topics, let me introduce my guest. We have the great Lisa Adams. I'm super happy that you're with us. Lisa Adams. That's right. Lisa Adams from NCR. She actually was you started out in quality assurance at NCR in 1985. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what qualifies you to talk about this era that we're in of self-service checkout.
Okay, so I started with NCR in 85 in quality assurance and then moved to a few more roles until finally around the year 2001, I started supporting self-serve checkout software.
Okay.
That's a mouthful. For NCR, and that was when self-checkout was very new, and I supported the self-checkout lanes for NCR for over 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Now, just to go back, before you started at NCR, you were in college at the University of South Carolina.
Go Cox.
Go Cox.
Go Cox. Go Cox.
That's right, go Cox. Yeah. What did you study when you were in college?
Computer science.
Okay, got it. So that was a natural fit for you.
Yeah, natural fit.
Tell me about your early days at NCR. And for those that don't know about NCR, that you guys, and I actually did my research, NCR is one of the largest kiosk and self-serve checkout providers in the world. Not just in this country, but in the world. Yeah. And the funny thing is, NCR back then stood for National Cash Register. Right. So this is, a lot of these young folks don't even know what a cash register is. But tell me about your journey with getting out of USC and going directly working with NCR.
Yeah, just went straight there and started work for them, like I said, in 1985. And then we built computers in West Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay.
And actually manufactured and engineered everything in those computers. It was a top-notch organization for them for years. And then they closed that facility and brought some other organizations from Atlanta over to Columbia, and that's when I started supporting self-checkout. Now,
NCR is actually headquartered in Atlanta now, right?
They're in Atlanta now. I think they were in Dayton, Ohio for over 100 years.
Wow, okay, got it. So when did they move the facility in West Columbia to Atlanta?
That was probably in maybe around 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, it all runs together. 38 years with the same company. I'm going, wait.
That is a feat right there, because a lot of people don't work a job for 38 years. When I tell people I've been in merchant services since 1996, I'm going on almost 30 years. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh wow, you've been in the same job that long?" And it's amazing. So kudos to you. Yeah. So that really is what makes you an expert in regards to being able to talk about this topic, because you've seen the good, bad, and the ugly. So you started out in quality assurance. Where did you go to after that? What are the divisions?
product management, back then we had to make sure our computers ran faster than anybody else's computers, IBM's, Hewlett-Packard. So I had to tune the software on the computers to make sure that it performed faster than other computers.
Got it.
And then after that is when I started supporting self-checkout.
Okay, got it. Good.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Supporting self-checkout. We did some surveys. I'm one of those guys. I got to do my research. I got to make sure that I know how the public feels, because the name of the podcast is An Honest Look. So I like talking to the consumers, trying to figure out how they feel about certain things. So we went out into the streets earlier this week and we talked to people about self-service checkout. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Stephen Morris here. We're actually outside of Publix in Lexington, and I'm here with Tim and Robin. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I got one quick question for you. Okay. I caught you guys as you're going in to go grocery shopping, right? Here's my question. When you go grocery shopping and you put all of your items in the shopping cart and you have to go through self-service checkout, how does that make you feel?
Honestly, it makes me feel like I'm doing all the work.
Okay.
I should get paid.
Got it. How about you, Robin?
Well, considering he does most of it, I don't know that I'm the fair one to answer it.
Now, Connie and Lisa, I have a very simple question for you guys. When you go in the grocery store and you put all of the food into your grocery cart and you have to check out and use the self-service kiosk, how do you guys feel?
I don't like it.
Why not?
I don't know. I like for somebody else to check out my groceries.
Okay, got it.
Really
and what about
I
you?
love it.
You do love it?
Yeah.
Okay, you're one of the few. Why do
Yeah.
you love it?
I like it because especially if I have a few things,
Okay.
I can get in and get out.
Okay.
And I quickly do it, have my stuff in the cart, check it out, and go.
Okay, and how long have you guys been friends?
Forever.
Okay, got it.
I like the human interaction.
Okay.
The only time I really love self-checkout is if I only have a few things.
Okay.
And they don't have the 5 or 10 items or less open.
All right, now do you find self-checkout difficult or it's
Yes.
pretty simple?
I feel like I am too slow and I don't know what half of my vegetables are called or how to spell them. So
Right.
it's just too much work.
How do you feel about
I
that?
don't like it
Okay, why don't you like it?
because I don't feel like I'm getting what I'm paying for.
Okay.
I'm in the store, I buy the food. Why should I have to bring it up myself
Yes,
and
ma'am.
bag it myself and then take it to the car myself?
Understood. And that's what a lot of grocery stores have prided themselves on, being able to help out customers that can't do it themselves.
Right.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, David, is you're about to go into there, buy your groceries, and then you're going to probably either use self-service checkout or you're going to use a live human being to check your groceries out. Which one do you prefer?
Self-checkout,
Why?
because I like to bag my groceries,
Okay.
and I like to bag them a certain way, and I hate a lot of bags.
Okay. All right.
A lot of people think it's confusing when it's really not. If you take time to really, ask questions, you won't get confused.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the ones that are really disgruntled or confused or usually upset about this technology, who do you think those people usually are? Are they more of the older people, or do young people get it? Who really loves self-serve kiosks in your opinion?
Well, I work in a grocery store, so I see it every day. So basically, the younger people like it. They like to get in and out. The older people get frustrated. And it's not basically because they're old, but it's more of, they just feel like, hey, let me get it out the way. Somebody else can scan it and bag it for me, and I can go.
Got it.
So that's basically what it is. Yeah.
Most people, believe it or not, they don't feel the way that you feel. Most people don't like it.
Yeah.
So you said, was it more anxiety or is it more just, hey, you're
It's
doing
just
somebody
hard
else's
when you
job?
have vegetables and stuff like that and you're not real sure what code to put in.
Okay.
That type of stuff.
Okay, now here's my last question because I don't want to hold you guys up.
Okay.
Do you think that that's going to change as the future progresses, or are we going to see more kiosks coming in and being more of a self-service checkout where the public controls the experience?
I think it's going to change back to the way it was.
You do?
I do. I
Okay.
really do. I feel that way because from what I've read, there's a lot of theft involved.
Okay.
People walking out of the store and not paying.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it. What about you? How do you
Well,
feel?
I definitely still think it's important that we're able to employ cashiers because of the alcohol and the theft.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of that going around. A lot of that happens, I think, with the self-checkout.
Okay, so even though you're a fan of self-checkout,
Yes.
you still like the face-to-face
Yes,
customer experience.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, well, you have to have a cashier come over and help you if you have alcohol or wine or anything.
Do you think it's going to change, though? Do you think it's going to be... No? Why not?
I don't think so because of technology.
Okay. So technology's pretty much running the boat on this one.
Right.
Do you think that that's going to change, or is that going to be the way that the future's going to progress when it comes to payments?
That's probably how it's going to stay.
Okay, got it, man. Because before, it would be, you would be able to take your groceries to a person. Then it went from the person to a person that helped you with 10 items or less.
Right.
Now it's all you do it yourself, and you don't like it.
No, I don't.
Okay, so we
And
don't
I
think it's
don't
going to
use
change.
it.
Okay,
If
so
I
you still
find
go
a store
to the...
that doesn't have a cashier, I don't go. I leave.
You leave the store?
I leave the store. Go
Wow.
somewhere else.
So they're not even going to get your money?
No.
Okay. Y'all heard it from
I
Miss
don't
Jenny.
feel like I need to do that, but if I'm spending my money,
That's right.
look like I should get the service I need for my money.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
I appreciate that a lot. That was awesome. I appreciate your time, Miss Jenny. Thank you so much. What do you think most people thought about it from a consumer
That
standpoint?
most people don't like it.
Why don't they like it?
I don't know all the reasons now, but I can tell you back when we started, the interesting thing, because myself, I was like, who would want to check out their own groceries?
Right.
And so when I first started supporting it, what we found early on, the people that liked it were the elderly people.
Really?
The reason elderly people liked it is because they could scan that beep, $2.99, scan that beep,
They can
$3.99.
control their budget.
Yes, and they knew what they were being charged. They felt like they go through those lanes and those young whippersnappers are beeping and scanning and saying, you owe me $200. And they're like, what? So the older people really liked it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because and they loved, like I said, being slow, and they put their stuff in their own little
Right.
bag, and they can
They
take
took their time. Right.
Take their time, and we're not in a hurry. We're just going to the grocery store. They're not in there to get in and out.
We had one lady, we asked her, I said, she was an elderly lady, and we kind of caught her as she was going in the grocery store. The funny thing, we were trying to interview people at first, and we couldn't get anybody to talk to us. I had to go inside the grocery store, buy gift cards to get people to talk to me.
Wow.
So this one little old lady, one Scott Party Pants, told her that we had gift cards. She was like, oh, I'll talk to him all day. So we gave her a gift card, and I asked her, I said, how do you feel? Her reaction was very simple. She said she didn't like it. She said she misses the days of face-to-face
somebody.
interaction.
Yeah, but unfortunately, even when you go through the regular lane anymore, the person behind it is not going to talk to you and be nice. A lot of them are on their cell phones and doing other things. It's not the same old grocery store where they say, how's Sarah doing?
Correct. And I think that's what a lot of our baby boomers are missing. They miss that interaction of being able to go to the same lane because they got to know their cashier. But self-checkout was really created because here's what I remember. I remember when, as a kid, I'm 50, I remember in the 70s and 80s when my mom would go to the grocery store, you knew who the cashier was, but then there would be times when you only had like 5 or 6 items, and then they created the 10 items or less line.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So after the 10 items or less line, now that's when the kiosk kind of came to be a part of it. Here's one of the consensus that we got is that a lot of people don't like it. The people that don't like it, they don't like it not only because of the customer interaction. They feel like that is not around. They also feel like if they're not technologically savvy, they don't know how to ring up tangerines versus peaches or orange. Like when you get to the produce, that becomes a big thing for them. So not only are they not getting the customer interaction, number two, a lot of people don't understand the technology. And here's the last part, and this is where I know you're going to chime in. People feel like it's taking away jobs.
Yeah. Well,
what's your thoughts on that? Is self-checkout taking away jobs, or are they just making that up?
I always say this, no, they're just making jobs elsewhere.
Okay.
I mean, there's technicians that have to come service those. I sat at my home for many years supporting so they're just jobs in different places.
Hold on, you were supporting self-checkout at your house?
Yeah, I was sitting at home, and I could support them remotely. I could connect to any Home Depot in the country, any Walmart. I could make their
Really?
right from my house. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you've got technicians that have to come out there. You've got engineers
Correct.
that are developing that software. So they're jobs. They're just not.
They're
ones
not the
you see in
jobs
the
that
grocery store.
right.
And technically, I say technically, that's not the right word, but Home Depot, when they first were kind of getting, why are you doing self-checkout? Because
Right.
I remember thinking, people are going to bring a door through the self-checkout lane. This is not going to work.
Right.
But they said that it frees up their employees in the store to be out there on the floor
Helping out.
customers instead of checking them out. That's not where you needed it.
Okay.
I mean, the other interesting thing about when Home Depot, because again, I thought, why would self-checkout fit in a home improvement store? It just didn't seem right.
Right.
Back then, they said the average customer bought 2.4 items
And self-checkout.
at a Home Depot.
Oh, at Home Depot. Okay, got it.
So
Overall.
they're like 2.4 items.
We don't need a human being for that.
You need this self-checkout. And a lot of the contractors,
They like it.
they like being able, if they just need to run and get something, they can go get those two things and they're out. They're not standing in a line.
Correct.
You know, it's easy peasy.
Okay, got it. So we're going to debunk the myth that it takes away jobs, because you're saying
Yeah, no,
it
just
helps
creates
jobs.
other jobs,
It creates
many
other
other
jobs that
You
the
just
public
don't
doesn't
see.
see.
You don't
Got
see
it. And you know how it is. The public, if they don't see it, they come up with their own fallacies of what that possibly
That's
could
right.
be. And here's the thing. You know, let's be honest. This generation that's out there, they really don't want to work anyway. Let's be
Amen.
honest.
You
Everybody.
said it. I didn't. You said it, not me.
Let's be honest.
That's right.
So from a merchant standpoint, the kiosk and the self-checkout, here's the thing. This is the argument that I have to people that say it takes away jobs. Number one, that self-service checkout, I never have to worry about it calling out sick.
That's right.
I never have to I never have to worry about that self-service checkout needing a paycheck or paying health coverage. So in a generation of the great resignation where people, especially younger people and millennials, everybody wants to be a YouTube star or a social media influencer because there is a lot of money in that.
That's right.
The conventional jobs, things are starting to be automated. Would you agree or no?
Yes, absolutely. And just like I said, even though that computer doesn't call out sick,
Right.
the computer can get sick and needs help.
need help.
Well, who do you think's going to help it? You just got to have a doctor. It may have to have somebody come in physically to change something, or someone do something with the software on the back end like me.
Got it.
Yep.
I love it.
So there's jobs.
Now, another thing that's happening, because when we look at where we've come from and where we're going, mobile apps. We talked about that before we got on camera. A lot of people, like my wife is a Starbucks maniac. She will go on Starbucks, order her coffee, her latte, and then go to the Starbucks, skip the line, and her drink is ready for her.
Yeah.
How do you feel we're moving technology-wise? Like the self-service kiosks that now are at the grocery stores, and like you said, Home Depot, McDonald's is the same thing. McDonald's has it right now because more people go through the drive-through. The people that actually go into the McDonald's restaurants, they order on a kiosk. Is that going to be something that we're going to see moving forward towards the everyday merchant as well?
For sure.
Okay.
And another thing that's out there, the name escapes me, but I've not seen many here, but you can have an app on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can go into Walmart and scan all your stuff in the store.
Wow.
And you go to a self-checkout.
Okay.
And you scan the QR code and it prints your receipt.
Wow.
So you've you've done everything but while you were shopping.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
And then they would, another topic that comes up with self-checkout is theft all the time.
There we go.
People are stealing. But they audit, almost like how Costco, Sam's Club, you have the receipt and it says 15 items and they make sure you got 15 items
Correct,
and you're out
correct.
the door. That's how they check. But there are, in a lot of stores, Walmart's tried them out, or if you don't use your own phone, there's a device at the storefront.
Right.
That you pull this device off the shelf and you scan your stuff as you shop.
Wow.
And you check out.
That's amazing.
With a QR code.
I actually saw a video of, I don't know if it was in America or if it was in overseas. Guy was walking through the grocery store with his shopping cart, and as he's putting items in the shopping cart, it's calculating what he has, and he can pay right off the shopping cart.
Well, again, back when I started supporting self-checkout, the technology that they were looking at was you put it all in your cart and you walk through a tunnel that scans all the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah.
Well,
I haven't seen that yet.
Okay. Well, we know the thing about it is.
RFID chips.
Yes, yeah.
That's what
right.
it is?
Yeah, it was
Okay,
RFID,
got it.
yeah.
See, I didn't even.
That's it.
It's we're moving into a crazy one. So here's the thing: which do you like better? Because now that you've worked on that spot, when you go to the grocery store, if you do, what do you do?
Well, it's funny. I was telling you earlier. I never or rarely used a self-checkout lane because I didn't care for them because I dealt with problems all day long.
Okay. So you were avoiding them.
Now that I'm retired, it's funny. I'm like, I kind of like these self-checkout lanes. It's somebody else's problem now.
That's right. I don't have to pick up the phone and deal with the issue.
Or if I have a problem, I don't have to see it tomorrow. Yeah.
Have you ever gone to a self-checkout line that was kind of not working? You're like, oh, I already know what the problem is?
A lot of times, yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes I've even told, like, I'll run into the ladies working there, and they'll say, oh, this one is doing that. And I'll say, oh, well, you need to call them, and this is what you need to do if you want that one fixed.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Let's go back to the theft issue, because that was another thing that I wanted to bring up. A lot of people say, well, when I go, because, I got to check out my things. If I got that little bit of Twizzlers or the items that are right by the register, I may or may not scan that. Do you know for a fact if there's more of a rise in theft with self-checkout versus conventional?
That has certainly changed from the time I started, because, again, when I first started, the people talked about, people are going to be stealing stuff. Retailers would tell you back then,
right,
that they can trust the general public more than
their employees. Really?
Yes. So they said they were.
You know what? I believe that.
And there's something called sweethearting. So
okay, what the heck is that?
It's sweethearting. So I'm your friend, and I work at the grocery store, and you come bring your stuff, and I only scan every other item.
Oh, they do that at the bar too.
Yeah, I'm only scanning every
other item
of yours, or so that big steak. Whoopsie.
That big steak I'm putting as hot dogs.
Yes, or you're just not scanning it at all, because nobody will know that it didn't go over that scanner.
Wow.
So now, though, it's changed so much.
Okay.
That retailers are putting cameras above.
Correct.
And they can
in the systems, right?
Yeah, in the systems and above, and it's real time to somewhere in India where they will say stop that sale right now because
they're stealing.
Yeah. And
wow.
And they will watch real people do it, and then they obviously talk to them.
Okay.
But at self checkout, they're doing those cameras. They have cameras at the bottom of the thing because a lot of people, some conveniently forget that case of beer that they have at the bottom of their cart.
Correct.
And but they have cameras to show that there's something at the bottom of the cart that wasn't scanned.
I'm going to tell you something. Did you know, this was a fun fact that I got off of Google, most criminals are caught off self-checkout video.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Most criminals, because think about it. Let's say someone unfortunately gets kidnapped. They take them in a Walmart or take them in a CVS. The cameras from the self-checkout, and as they're leaving, those cameras catch more criminals in America than anywhere else.
Wow, that's interesting.
So that is crazy.
So when we first started self-checkout, the security was in the bag scale, and that's how you knew if people were, buying or taking stuff they weren't supposed to. But we also had a camera that was on the screen, and you could see yourself. Okay. Well, it was not recorded. Oh. So but they said the fact that people
knew they were
being watched, they will be more honest.
Wow.
So that was one of the security measures. But again, people say, "Can't you get that footage?" And we're like, "No, it's just,
it's not really there. It's more for God is watching."
Yes, it is. It's more just to let you know that somebody's watching, but not live.
Right. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So that debunks another myth because people feel, hey, people are going to steal more. I actually had a guy, I won't say his name, but I know him personally, and I kind of lost a little bit of respect for him because he said, "Oh, well, when I go to self-checkout, I'm always taking something." I'm like, all right, let me reevaluate who my friends are.
But now I think it has become because people started seeing that they could take it away. So then it's opened up a whole new thing, and it's real hard for retailers.
Right. I had one incident, and this happened at a local grocery store. I actually went up to the grocery store. Now, I didn't have a handful of stuff. I had about 2 or 3 items, but when I rung my items up, the total cost was like $200. What somebody did, and the cashier actually said it when I complained, because I'm like, hey, these 3 items are not $200. The person before me that used that machine rung up all of their groceries
and left.
Did not pay. They walked out. And so by the time I go up there as the next consumer, I'm the victim. the next victim, I go up there and I ring my items, but it's continuing off of their order. So that's one thing that I kind of.
Well, and people do it and I hate to say it, they
No,
do
it's
it all the
okay.
time because if the cashier is not paying attention,
Correct.
that person.
So that's why they
didn't
have
close
that one person monitoring like 5 machines.
And unfortunately, a lot of the times, the person that they've hired that's supposed to do their job,
Right. It's not.
they're not. They're playing on their cell phone.
So it's a
and-
people issue.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people too, that at those self-checkout lanes, they have to have people to come over to, help you when the paper jams or when it
Right.
doesn't give you your change or when it charges you too much. There's still a handler, if you will,
Correct.
for the self-checkout lane. But even those people,
But they're
don't.
not doing their job.
That's right.
And I think that's honestly what people are disgruntled with because number one, they're trying to figure this out. Like I get a lot of folks that we had interviewed, they say, well, that's not my job to ring up my own groceries. Well, you have a choice because they do in some cases have someone that's there live.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, that line is a lot longer.
That's right.
And
That's
we
right.
live in the age of quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yep.
So it's
So there was a time when NCRs went from Scott self-checkout
Okay.
terminal to fast lane.
Okay.
That's what we called ours for a long time.
Fast
You couldn't
lane? I like
fast lane.
that.
It was life in the fast
I
lane.
need to bring
Yeah,
that back.
life in the fast lane.
okay.
And then self-serve checkout.
Okay.
But I forgot why I was saying that to you though.
Well, we were talking about how some people want the face-to-face, but that line is usually longer.
Right. And also like you were talking about having to give gift cards for people.
Mm-hmm.
When self-checkouts first would come in stores, they would have to get people to please come over here, use this beautiful
Really?
piece of equipment. Yes, because
People didn't
were
want to do
scared
it.
They're scared. They don't know what it is.
Right.
But they need somebody to teach them. So, they would have to have employees to come show them, this is how this works. This is, they're supposed to introduce
Right.
the customers because you can't expect them to just walk up and know what they can and can't do.
Correct.
Yeah.
The millennials that we talk to, they love self-checkout because they, like I said, they want to be in and out and in a hurry, and they're going to be used to it. Everyone that we ask, even the people that hated it, we ask people that love self-checkout, and we also ask people that they weren't really big fans of it. But the one question I asked them, I said, do you think it's going away? Everybody said no.
No, I don't
It's
think
not.
Yeah.
So how do we become better accustomed to this technology? Because even Amazon, their employees out in Seattle, Washington, that they have a biometrics that reads their thumbprint when they check out. They just go and put their hand down, and then it automatically tabulates what they took out.
Another thing, back when I started supporting self-checkout with NCR, so technology that they had was a retinal scan.
With your eye, really?
That's how you paid, and a lot of people were really.
they're not.
No, they're not going to put their eye.
Nobody's ready for biometrics.
No. That was a little much.
I got you. So let's go back to the mobile app thing. So with mobile apps, we found out that more of the public, they like mobile apps versus self-checkout. Here's the thing, though. With your mobile app, you're familiar with doing everything on your phone. And so I think COVID kind of set that atmosphere. Think about it. When we were in 2020, nobody was really touching money. You couldn't get inside of a lot of businesses. So now we heard stuff like online ordering and Instacart. My wife, even before COVID, she never liked to go inside the grocery store. She would go on a mobile app, order her groceries,
and go pick them up.
still drive to the grocery store and pick them up.
Yeah,
and she got
a
her
lot
own
of
little.
people love that.
Yeah, what?
I
don't. What's your thoughts?
I can't see me doing that. I just can't see. I don't know. I've heard people just say it's a game changer. You save money because you're not in there picking and looking and seeing things that you don't need.
But then my thing is, you still have to drive to the grocery store.
Yeah.
If you're going to go through all that, bring it to my house.
Yeah.
That's why Uber Eats and DoorDash, they're making billions of dollars.
That's right.
I tell people all the time, if you want to have $1 billion idea, capitalize on the laziness of Americans.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
It is the truth, because when you look at DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, they don't provide a product. They provide a service.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And these are multi-million, possibly billion-dollar organizations that have taken our laziness and made millions off of it.
Well, I would love to know how Starbucks and how these other people feel about the mobile apps for the businesses. The businesses love it too.
They love it because now I actually have a restaurant that I'm talking to that wants to get their own mobile app. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is it will free up their phones, because now people will download the app.
And not call.
You don't have to keep calling in to put your order in. So now my phones are freed up. I don't have to worry about trying to take your order. And as I'm taking your order, another call comes in. Oh, please hold while I take that. No, you go on there. Not only are you ordering your food or ordering your product, Now it's paid for. That's the key.
That's the key. That's right.
It's paid
That's
for
right.
before you pick it up. So if you go to Starbucks and you don't pick up your caramel frappuccino latte
They don't
venti,
care. They don't
care. It's been sitting there for 5 minutes and we already
I'll
got
be
our
drinking
money.
it. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Right. So that's a good point too. So that kind of plays into your credit card
Yeah.
servicing business because
Now-
they want to make sure they get their
Now
money.
you said, I told you I was going to bring this up. You mentioned that at NCR, the processing was the problem. The processing piece was the problem with most kiosks and self-checkout. Can we go back to that?
Yeah, and I say that, but it's the communication between the self-checkout and the credit card processing.
So so walk me through, because I'm assuming those are different devices.
Yes, they're all different devices.
Okay.
And so when I try to look at a problem, I have to say, okay, I can see the person scanned 3 items and then they pressed pay,
Mm-hmm.
they pressed card, and we sent everything over to that credit card machine, and we're waiting to hear back from that credit card machine.
Got it.
And we never hear back.
Okay.
And so people will say there's something wrong with the self-checkout. Well, no, it's not the self-checkout. We've done everything we can do. We have to wait to hear back from that.
From the
thing
processor.
That we're good, that we're approved, and we can move on and close out the sale.
Got it. Okay.
And I don't have any access.
See, that part I never knew. I always thought that it was all in one.
No.
Okay, so in your line, so basically when you were working with NCR, it was better for them to do a cash sale because you put a 20 in, it's going to
Easier, I know,
disseminate that
it's all
change.
contained in my piece of equipment that I support. But once we go off and have to send something, or even if, because the credit card processing is different from the point of sale within a store.
Correct.
So we would have to tell people, they'd say, well, it's the self-checkout lane. And I'm like, no, the self-checkout lane did everything it was supposed to do. Something happened on the credit card processing that didn't allow us to finish what we needed to do.
Okay, got it.
And I can't see what was wrong with your credit card processing system.
Now, so would NCR use like one provider or they had like many?
It's actually dependent on the store?
Stores,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we would have to integrate different ones.
And that was a nightmare.
Yeah, yes, it was.
I got you.
A different version.
Walk me through the worst experience you've ever had with the self-service check, because you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I can tell you so many. One of the first ones that I just couldn't even believe, Home Depot, and they called a technician out there to repair the self-checkout lane because a man had gotten so mad at it that he punched it with his fist. He broke this. And I'm like, who do you think is going to pay for that? NCR's not paying. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do.
Wow. Okay.
And it's not a software problem.
He broke the hardware. Wow. All right. I guess the public really is mad. Guys like that. And the funny thing is, like you said, he didn't really have to use that, but I guess he got upset with it. All right, cool.
Yeah.
You told me a funny story about the founder of NCR. A lot of people think that Donald Trump came up with the term. Well, he didn't come up with the term, but he kind of coined the phrase from The Apprentice, that term, "you're fired." But that didn't really come from Donald Trump. Who did that come from?
One of my favorite NCR stories, Henry Patterson was the founder of NCR, and he, apparently legend has it that you can Google it, I don't know if it's true or not, but he had an executive that he got angry with, and when the executive, it was just he and this other guy were the top two, came back to the office, he had the man's desk, filing cabinet, old wooden desk out on the front lawn, and struck a match to it.
And burned it up.
Burned it up right as he was pulling back in the parking lot. So
now that person was Thomas Watson Sr. Okay.
Who went on to start IBM. Yeah, so that didn't really work out.
So fired from NCR, he's like, I'm gonna start my own thing.
Yeah, that's
I love
right,
it.
that's
I
right.
love it. I love it. What final words do you want to have for our group today? Because I think you answered a lot of questions that we had. The public is always going to have feelings about something. And that was the reason why I wanted to start this podcast, because I believe a lot of times our feelings are not facts, first and foremost. They're not, just because you feel a certain way about something doesn't mean that it's true.
That's right.
But the second thing is I want to address those feelings with the truth to debunk that. So that's why I'm glad we were able to kind of sit down. But as a final thought, what would you want to say about, number one, anything that you've experienced with NCR, where we're going technologically with this issue with kiosks and self-service? Because like I said, we're seeing it more with McDonald's. There are going to be a lot more fast food places that have it. 10 years from now, it's going to be everywhere.
Airports. Have you gone airports? It's all kiosk self-checkout.
That's right. When you do your bags.
Self-check-in.
That's right.
I'm sorry. Self-check-in there.
Do your bags, pay your $30.
Yes.
Here's your thing.
Yeah, and even international travel, where you come through immigrations and stuff, all that stuff, you go through and fill out all that form on a kiosk.
Right.
Now, yeah.
So where do we go in the next 10 years? 10 years from now, where are we going to be with self-service checkout?
I can't even begin to imagine.
All right.
'Cause I would have never thought we would be where we are in the 20 years that I supported it. I honestly, early on, I didn't think it would be here.
Right.
20-something years later.
It truly blows my mind because my son, who is actually in the business of merchant services now, he'll always ask me, he'll say, Dad, do you think that payments will always be around? I said, yeah. I said it will always be around. Here's the thing, though. The technology piece is what you have to always stay abreast of.
Right.
Because when I first got into business, we used to use the knuckle buster and we did the little imager. But now we're paying for stuff with
their card.
Yeah, people are like, oh, what are you doing? But now we're paying for things with smartphones and smartwatches, and the technology is making more people dependent upon them.
Right.
We're dependent upon them.
And going to your wanting to have an honest look at all of these things and people being upset, part of what I would want to tell people is that's when you go talk to the manager at the grocery store.
Correct.
Seriously, that's the person, because he can report back to his people.
Corporate.
Listen,
That's good advice.
This is what
That's
these
good
people
advice.
don't like. Well, and that's honestly, I would tell people all the time that would complain about self-checkout, you need to tell somebody that can make it change. Like,
Right.
oh, I can't stand how you have to press this button. Well, we can move that button. You know what I mean? But
Oh,
we
see,
don't know.
I don't think the public knows that.
But you've got to tell somebody, not your friends on Facebook.
Got it.
Don't be complaining to your friends on Facebook.
Complain to people that can help.
Yes, and it's not that you're complaining. You're just pointing out these are the things that I don't like about this. This
Correct.
is what I love.
Correct.
This is what I love about it. This is what I don't like. You need to tell. Yeah.
I think my biggest complaint with self-checkout is that during the holiday seasons when retail sales go up, you need to have less self-checkout and more for customer. That's just my personal opinion. I think the public feels that same way as well.
Oh, you think just to have more interaction?
Yeah, because think about it. When it's slow, it's Arbor Day.
Yeah,
it's not a big retail holiday. Self-checkout's fine. But when we go anything past Black Friday going into Christmas, I think the public would say they need more human interaction just to move quicker.
Well, or actually, your entire front end should be open.
Correct.
Your entire front end.
I agree with you.
Every man lane should have a person. Every self-checkout should be in order. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, I remember when when I started with Walmart, they had either 4 or 8 self-checkouts.
Okay, wow.
4 on the grocery and 4 on the other side. Then some of them would get 8 on the other side. Then all of a sudden they went to 21 self-checkout lanes.
Wow.
If you go to Walmart, most all of them have at least 21
Oh,
self-checkout
yeah. And then you got like 3 people watching it. And it's...
And probably 2 lines open.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a zoo.
But the funny thing is they have more self-checkout, but remember you said Home Depot, the reason why they wanted more people on the floor. And nobody's helping me at Walmart.
No.
Nobody's helping me at Walmart.
There was a meme, something about, where's my 1099? I checked out.
Exactly.
Asking Walmart, where's my 1099? I should get paid for all
Walmart,
those.
where's my check for doing your job? Exactly.
Or somebody said that they went into the break room in a Walmart and they said, what are you doing in here? You don't
Like,
work
I
here.
work here?
Yeah, I work here. I just checked myself out.
I love it.
I
Lisa,
deserve a break.
I had a great time with you today. This was
Wonderful.
awesome.
I'm so happy to be your inaugural guest.
Thank you. I know. You're my first. A year from now, you got to come back. You got to come back.
Okay.
So I'm super happy that you joined us. Tell the people how can they reach you on social media, or you don't do the social media thing?
No.
Hold on. So you do the self-checkout thing now, but no social media.
I'm on Instagram and I just follow people. I don't post anything.
All right. Well, no problem. You can
There's
follow
no way
us
to contact me.
If
you need me, you have to go through.
So you truly are retired.
Yes, I truly am. Yes, I am.
Don't reach out to me. Don't reach out to me at all, please.
Right.
Well, I'm so happy that you were my first guest. Thank you. This has been a true labor of love in the making.
Yeah,
and I told you it was
great.
going to be painless.
Yeah, it was
told you it was
really
gonna be
nice. I
painless.
enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you so much for joining us for an honest look. Had a great time. Podcast episode number 1, Lisa Adams, great guest. And if you guys have any comments or inquiries or anything that you want to talk about, make sure you put it in the comments. And if you guys have a topic that you want to talk about, we invite that. If you want to have an honest look at, whether Pepsi's better than Coke, or if you know, the iPhone is better than the Android. Hey, we'll make it happen. At the end of the day, we want to take an honest look. We want to debunk the myths, talk about the facts, and also talk about your feelings. Have a good one, guys.